Welcome back to the Sunday Supplement. Interesting story that in the Sunday Express, one or two others have got it as well, but Jonathan, about Manchester City and the players that we've wondered for ages how he was going to keep them, and Richardson's saying the City boss Mancini has persuaded the club to let him offload his long list of highly paid cast-offs. The club have abandoned their policy of not supplementing loan deals in a desperate attempt to unload the players Mancini no longer wants. There's a big list of high earners. I mean, they're almost going to abandon getting money for them just to get them off the payroll.
It's a huge list, and I think the big untold story of the transfer window has been wages. It's guided everything. We're talking about Arsenal. I mean, you know, their wages are so below what Man City or Man United can pay now. That's one explanation for why they don't bring in senior players. And if you look at the players we're talking about here, you know, Adebayor or Santa Cruz, Wayne Bridge, Sean Wright-Phillips, Bellamy.
Yeah,
it's about £500,000 a week if you add it up. If their wages combined, it's extraordinary. It looks like Mancini's winning a battle because City was very strongly briefing us at the start of the summer that they weren't going to be subsidising wages anymore, that they were going to stand firm, and these players would, you know, basically have to find moves, or they were just going to have to train with the reserves. But Mancini doesn't want them around. I believe there has been a change of policy. The club are going to, you know, subsidise some of the wages, but, you know, Adebayor £170,000 a week. Can they subsidise his wages enough for somebody to take him on loan? And two or three of these players are going to be much sought after in the last week of this transfer window. Yeah. But it's not clear as to, you know, whether anyone can still afford to take them, even with the wages subsidised. It's a real mess.
Didn't he come out this week and say that Tevez is staying because nobody can afford him?
Yeah, I mean, Tevez is the prime example, and he and his camp thought he would have a move by now. £250,000 a week. Nobody in football can afford that, except the one or two elite clubs who probably think that, you know, that plus the 50 million transfer fee, and the fact they've got good squads already means it's not worth it. So, you know, he's already got Tevez's replacement, Aguero, but he's then got Tevez. He's got to find a way of doing something with him. I mean, the thing about Mancini is he's very hard line about this. He's probably a good manager to handle the selection issues of this situation. And I believe, you know, he hasn't even given Adebayor or Bridge squad numbers. You know, he won't even have them near the reserves. So he's doing one thing in terms of team selection, but it's leaving a mess for the businessmen at the club to try and clear up.
There was a story before the start of the season with Mancini saying, I want more power, I want control of situations. Does this indicate that he's winning that?
Well, yes, it certainly would. I mean, I should imagine that Gary Cook and Brian Marwood will want to balance the books. They will want, no, balancing the books, that's going to be impossible at the moment, but they will want, you know, the whole point of trading in players is that you claw back money for them. So if Mancini, I can see, I mean, from the things I've heard, I can see conflict there between Mancini and the hierarchy. And yes, I suppose if he wins this battle, then it's significant. I mean, I'd agree with Jonathan. Even if you pay 50% of a player's weekly wages, if you paid 50% of Adebayor's, he'd still be the top paid player at Spurs. And they had a policy last summer, I mean, which was the reason why Bellamy ended up at Cardiff, was that they wouldn't let players go on loan to rivals. So if Adebayor goes to Spurs, I mean, okay, Spurs' squad doesn't quite match up to City's, but they are still a team that could catch them in terms of, you know, that would be close to them in terms of league play. So obviously Adebayor wouldn't be able to play against City for Tottenham, but there does seem to be there's obviously problems there.
This could only happen at City, couldn't it? You know, where you get a list of players like this with a manager saying, I don't want them, they're not training, haven't got squad numbers, and get rid of them.
Yeah, although I suppose, you know, I have some sympathy for Mancini in wanting to do that. I do also feel, I mean, it's difficult to extrapolate too much from one game when City played a newly promoted side, Swansea, last week. But there was a really good feeling at the stadium last week, not just because of the size of the victory. I think Aguero feels like a brilliant signing who's really injected some charisma and some dynamism into the place. There's a feeling that the team's come together a bit more, that it's not just an expensive set of individuals. I have to say, I think Mancini, you know, Mancini's deserves some credit for standing firm. He's been under an immense amount of pressure. I think that list of players that you're talking about, personally on that list, there's only Bellamy that I would say, my own view, and I'm a long-standing fan of Bellamy, as you know, is that Bellamy should be in the side. I think he's good enough. I think he's still good enough to be in the team, and you know, I think he's been misunderstood slightly, but that's just my opinion. I still think that Mancini has done a good job now. He got them top 4 last season. I think they've kicked on. Aguero's going to push them even further up. I think they're real title challengers this year. I think they'll fall just short, but I think they're moving forward.
All those qualities you mentioned, like togetherness and spirit, coming together, that's down to Mancini, of course.
Well, absolutely.
And this is what he's trying to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I think in very difficult circumstances where people are, you know, they've spent an awful lot of money, so they're under an awful lot of pressure. Media, we're chipping away at them, and we've got very high expectations of them all the time, quite rightly. And I think in those circumstances, as Johnny said, he's a pretty hard-line guy, and I think that's probably what they need.
Yeah, he comes out of this with credit, doesn't he? I mean, that Ollie's talking about them challenging, and he's almost saying to the people above him, well, this is what I want to do, and if you want me to stay, this is what we're going to do.
It's very much the sort of Italian continental style of. He's focused on the team, you know. He doesn't come from a background of being a British manager who particularly bothers about transfer budgets and so on. He's focusing on the team, and he feels that his needs are not served by having the likes of Adebayor and Bridge around the place. And that, you know, you can see the young group of players with Aguero in it, with Silva, Balotelli, Company at the back, the new captain. You can see what he wants to create. You can see what he wants to do. So if you leave aside the finances, which, you know, Mancini would say aren't his concern, there's a lot of logic in what he's doing. Carlos Tevez is the joker in the pack, though, that's going to cause them the problems over the year.
Can you play Tevez and Aguero together?
They've done it for Argentina, and Aguero's probably played better than Tevez in that system. I think it's a lot to play him, to play the two of them and David Silva as well. You know, that seems to be 3 players in the same situation.
We have criticised them, again rightly, in the past, I think, for being dull and overcautious. But I have to say, any team that has, well, I would say David Silva in it. I mean, I'd pay just to watch David Silva play alone, you know, and now Aguero's there as well. They've got some other outstanding young players. I mean, I think, you know, that idea, if Nasri goes, they're going to be a more offensive side than they were last year.
Would you pay to watch Adebayor play? Do you think the Spurs fans will take to him if he goes there? Having come from Arsenal, I'm sure they abused him when he was playing for Arsenal, but now they've got to love him if they can.
He's probably more disliked at Arsenal, to be honest, for the manner of his leaving and then the way he celebrated that goal at Manchester City. I mean, Spurs fans, they didn't like him when he was an Arsenal player, but I think they feel they need another goal scorer in that team. I think football fans are quite pragmatic in that respect. I think if he has a good start, then they'll take to him.
Yeah, and any love affair that might happen, short term.
Yeah, it's a brave one from Harry. But I mean, he brought William Gallas there, didn't he? And the famous quote was, "Yeah, he's just a footballer who's not murdered anyone." And I can see his point there. I think Redknapp has earned the right to be trusted on bringing players from Spurs. I mean, Gallas has been a great signing from Arsenal. Sorry, Gallas has been a great signing.
And no trouble at Bolton today for them, or a tricky game?
A little bit tricky. Bolton started the season well, and I think City, you know, this is a test actually in terms of what Ollie's saying. You know, they're away from home. How attacking is he going to be? I think they'll win, but I think Bolton are on, you know, in a good form at the moment. It'll be tough.
And where do you think City will finish this season?
Just second, just like Ollie. I think they'll go very close. I think they might even do quite well in the Champions League, but not quite close enough in the league.
They are definitely serious contenders now, though, aren't they?
I think,
yeah, they are. They are I think ahead of Chelsea now as the competitors for United.
Good, exciting times. Okay,